I want to make this as quick, informative, and painless as possible. So let's talk about my explant surgery. I have had so many questions in the last, well, now almost a year and a half about the girls, and a lot of you have made not very nice comments, and then I've had some other nice comments, and then I've had some comments that just feel really invasive. I figured I would address what I had done because I think it's important for other women to know kind of the ins and outs without it being that difficult to understand. So I'm gonna take you down the story of why I had it done, what it was like to have it done, the healing process, what size I was and what size I am now, and my plans for the future. So, late November of 2024, I sustained an injury. I had a breast augmentation when I was 20 years old. When I was a little girl, I loved Dolly Parton. I don't know, it stuck with me. I was 20, so I had saline implants put in because you had to be 24 at the time to get silicone breast implants. So I went with saline, which was fine with me because my parents actually had a customer that had silicone implants. One of them ruptured and she actually died. That always scared me, so I always kind of thought I would do saline anyway. And they were fine. They were fine, I loved them. Then I kind of hit a growth spurt on top of getting my breasts done, so they ended up being a 30G over time. I've always been someone with a very small frame. I've been very thin my whole life. That was kind of a whoa. I rolled with it. You know, Dolly Parton was my inspiration since I was little and all of those things. And don't ask, doesn't matter. That was my frame of thinking. I was 20, I was a child. Then I went on steroids and some other immune suppressants for an autoimmune disease that I actually had before I had breast implants put in. I was diagnosed before. I have had an autoimmune disease my entire life. I had no breast implant illness, okay? And we'll get to that towards the end. It got even bigger. I had 300 cc's in one and then like 305 in the other. I started out as a C cup and ended up being a double D, went through that growth spurt, went to a G. About 15 years later, late November of 2024, I sustained an injury. My left breast implant ruptured and it was extremely painful. Then I noticed that I was having like random shooting pains, and then all of a sudden I couldn't move my left pec, which was weird because I work out and I can move my pecs singularly. And I was like, oh, my breast implant has ruptured. I knew personally that was basically like family to me, a plastic surgeon, lived in Houston. He's wonderful. His name is Dr. Davila. Vintage Wellness, if you guys have been following me long enough, I knew immediately who to call, who I could trust. So I think that's a big part in this is if you are thinking about explant surgery, make sure it's someone who knows how to do it, number one. Number two, someone you can trust. You can feel them out when you have appointments and things, but I was fortunate enough to know and have someone who I could completely trust with my life to fix this issue, because it's different when you have explant surgery because you just want them out or you want them rotated. But when you sustain an injury and you have a rupture, you need to get it out pretty quickly. I will put his information below if you are in the Houston area, or, I mean, he's worth traveling. I mean, I traveled from Arkansas to Houston to have him do my surgery. So I'll put his information below. The injury actually caused, I forget how Dr. Davila said it happened, but the breast implant itself came out of the pocket. So that was like the major pain of it. We discussed putting another implant in and all of those things. And I just, at the time, I was in so much pain, I couldn't think about another healing process. And I just said, I just want them out. I want to be free for a while. And if I want another implant put in, I'll decide that later. And we discussed doing a lift. I was like, I just want them out. At that point, that's what I wanted. What he did was he removed the implant and informed me there was no breast implant illness. There was no mold, no anything to be concerned that had been making me sick, which wasn't surprising because I had been sick before my breast implants, and I had had plenty of people in my life tell me to get my implants out because it's breast implant illness and all, which is a thing. So no breast implant illness, but what he had to do for the left side, the left breast, was go in and basically blend up the tissue so it could reform properly. And when I tell you that this was one of the most painful things I have ever been through, I'm telling you, it was so painful. It took me a month to be able to just comfortably sit up, stand up, anything. I purchased Skims bras that hooked in the front. Those were very helpful. I made sure to wear my bandaging as long as I needed to, as long as possible. Dr. Davila did tell me it would take about a year for them to fluff up, for the tissue to completely heal and be the size they're gonna be. And I will tell you for sure, and this is what I wanna get into, because this is, I feel like I watched a bunch of videos after my procedure because I had to get mine done pretty quickly. So it's been about a year and 4 months since I had mine done. Injury happened end of November. Dr. Davila got me in December 1st. It was quick. Right after my bandaging period was over and I could wear an actual bra, I was a size 30 double D. So I went from a 30G to a 30 double D, which I was like, that's strange because that's what I was right after I had my breast augmentation. A little time passed. I ended up losing some more weight because of a stressful period in my life, which if you guys are already subscribed to the channel, you know something traumatic happened to me last summer. And so I got down to 110 pounds. So I went from a double D to an A real quick. Like I lost all of my weight in my boobs and I was kind of fine with it. I didn't, I was getting used to not having a large chest. For me personally, I didn't go through any type of like mourning the loss of my breasts or anything, just because I felt like it almost made life easier than being smaller and made working out easier. It just made life easier. I could fit into a lot more tops and clothing that I really wanted to. It really didn't bother me. But if you are somebody who's like very attached to the size of your chest and you feel like that almost defines you, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, I would say you're probably gonna mourn the loss a little bit. It'll play with your mind a little bit. I noticed I think it was like August, it seemed I was the same weight, but they started growing a little bit. So I went from an A to boom, a 30C. Like it happened in a few months and I was like, whoa, okay, I guess the tissues are starting to kind of fluff up and my breasts started, rising up a little bit and just feeling more full. And so I was like, okay, I guess a C is where I'm gonna be at. I had a few more months to go before a year. So I bought bras. I thought that was it. Where I'm at now, I am a 30D. I have barely any tissue up top, but all the tissues at the bottom. That started, I wanna say, I purchased my first 30D bra November of last year. So it was right around a year where I felt like my girls finally settled to the size they were gonna be. I'm fine with that. Like I'm happy with it. I don't really think about it much. I don't really think about putting another small implant in or getting a lift just because I don't wanna have to go through more of that healing. It is pretty painful and I'm happy with them. Are they as full as I would, magically change them to be? No, but to me, they look pretty and they're sitting fine and I can wear no bra or I can wear a bra and get that fullness appearance. My favorite bra that I've purchased is the Skims teardrop bra. Gives me more fullness and lift. Just fits perfectly. There are times where I go, do I want to put a small implant in? Then I think about, oh my gosh, you have to rotate your tires, you have to go through surgeries. It's not like a final thing. And I felt like when I was 20, that was not explained to me honestly, but that was way back in the day. I think it was 2008. Okay, so it was just like, you want your boobs done? Here's your boobs done. It was just different back then. If I would have known that I would have had to get them rotated every 15 years to stay safe, I don't know if I would have ever done it. I mean, I would have probably stayed wanting to do it, but probably wouldn't have done it just because thinking of getting surgery every 15 years, it's a lot. 15 years goes by like that. The healing process was absolutely treacherous. I could barely move. You can't work out for months. I feel like that impacted me more than like the size of my chest, really. I felt like the not being able to Thank you. I felt like the not being able to be as active as I wanted to be or as I was used to being really bothered me. The other things I was going through obviously were bothering me and affected me mentally more than the size of my chest. As time goes on, you can see the implants on the side, you can start feeling them. It did start to feel like there was a foreign thing attached to me. As you get older, this tissue doesn't stay where it normally does when you're in your 20s. So yeah, you start seeing rippling on the sides because your skin thins and your tissue's thin and all of those things. And I don't want that again. I'm fine with just putting a little castor oil on the girls before I go to bed, you know, perk them up. I really don't think I would ever do a lift. I don't really feel like I need a lift just because I don't want the scarring. All of those are options when you have an explant done, to just rotate the tires for a smaller implant and a lift, or you could just do a lift. But for me, I really just wanted my implants out and to go from there. Really wish I wouldn't have sustained an injury or had to go through such a bad healing process because of the injury, getting my tissues blended up to heal properly, but I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about this anymore. Explant surgery isn't as crazy as it used to be. Back in the day, it was like hardly anybody did it. Now plenty of surgeons do it, and I know Dr. Davila does it just absolutely wonderfully, and it was as seamless of an experience as it could have been. I hope that answered all of your questions. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. I know this is a very intimate and personal type of decision. No matter how you're making the decision, whether you sustain an injury or you just are tired of being larger chested or you are wanting a refresh, my biggest tips are to rest as much as possible. You do not want to create any scar tissue by moving too much or lifting too much. Make sure you are wearing your bandages for the appropriate amount of time. Make sure you are wearing a tight fitting bra, like a sports bra or a surgical bra afterward, for as long as possible. I think I was wearing my sports bra for 5 months post-surgery, where I was still wearing a sports bra even to sleep in, because I wanted my tissues to heal. So you want them to be tight and lifted as they heal, not have gravity pulling them down as they heal, because that will cause more sagging. What breast tissue you have is what you're gonna end up with. And that was one thing Dr. Davila told me. He was like, you have this much breast tissue, like, are you gonna be okay with this size? And I was like, yes. Been wanting to make this video for a very long time, but obviously things happened in my life to where I couldn't. So here you are. I'm always honest about these things, but I felt like it was most important to share because I know that us women go through these things. And if I can share my side of it, not just having a decision to take them out, but having an injury and needing to get surgery as fast as possible. It was a scary decision. It was a scary time. If you do sustain an injury and you have a rupture or your implant slides out of that pocket, you have got to get to a doctor fast. You don't want to create any more scar tissue, especially if you have silicone implants. It can actually poison you. So make sure you see a doctor immediately. It is not something you can live with. That is my experience. If you have any other questions, if I forgot something, please leave it in the comments. And thank you to those of you who have been kind about this. Those of you who haven't, I don't care really honestly anymore. So I will see you guys in my regular content.